is now
I think after all these years, we still have people that come together. This many people come down here to Torrance to celebrate this parade. It's just amazing to me.
Each year in May, thousands line Torrance Boulevard to honor our men and women in uniform.
It's wonderful, and I think it's a great way to honor all our service people and, of course, honor those people that are out there right now that are doing so much and sacrificing so much for us.
It all began on May 19, 1960. Torrance Mayor Albert Eisen urged all Torrance residents and businesses to proudly display the American flag for what would be the most ambitious military observance in Southern California at the time. The festivities that inaugural year included the crowning of a young local woman, Betty Baker, as Miss Armed Forces Day, along with a local essay contest. That year, more than 50,000 spectators turned out for what would become a proud Torrance tradition for the next half-century.
The man was brilliant in the number of things that he did for the city. One of the things he did for the city was the creation of the Armed Forces Parade. It's the longest-running civic armed forces parade in the United States.
The South Bay has deep-rooted armed forces ties, serving as the home to many aerospace and defense industry companies. This makes it a natural fit for an armed forces parade. But Al Eisen's primary objective was paying tribute to the military for its service to our country.
In its first years, the parade drew participation of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines, with the El Segundo-based Space and Missile Organization of the U.S. Air Force playing a starring role. Through the years, the parade's Grand Marshal roster has become a who's who list of high-ranking civilians, as well as the Armed Forces' most decorated leaders. Among the most notable was Army General Omar N. Bradley, who in 1969 was the highest-ranking military officer and hero of World War II's Normandy invasion. The 1980s brought a key parade milestone, recognition as a Department of Defense designated site for armed forces observance.
That's very important because what it means is that the Department of Defense, the agencies, the Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, and the Coast Guard, who belongs to Homeland Security now, that allows them to spend resources or assets on supporting the parade.
During this same era, Councilmember Bill Applegate and other members of the Parade Planning Committee met face-to-face with high-ranking military officials in Washington, D.C. to bring forth another key change, designating one branch of the military as the honored service for each parade year. The U.S. Coast Guard was also added to this rotation. It's a change Applegate credits with ensuring all future Grand Marshals would be among the highest-ranking members of the military.
One of the items that became very, very important with us being able to recruit the proper Grand Marshal was to take the Grand Marshal of the immediate past year and use that person as leverage to help us recruit the next year's person.
The city and the Torrance Chamber of Commerce jointly planned the parade up until the late 1970s. It was then that our own local armed forces, the Torrance Police Department, began to take a more active role, interfacing directly with the military.
This is an event that does take us a year to plan and put together. So there's meetings ahead of time. We'll take trips to Fort Irwin. We'll go out to Los Alamitos. We'll take a trip back to the Pentagon to meet with the military branches back there, all in preparation for the parade.
This is a big thrill for these kids to get a chance to walk down this parade route, and as short as their little legs are, they march the entire way.
The military branches may rotate, but one face and voice has remained a parade constant. Former Marine Pat Coulter has served as the official parade MC for 39 years.
I started a long time ago, and the Vietnam War was just winding down in those days, and there were real pockets of resistance to the military. And that's one of the reasons that the Department of Defense salutes and supports the city of Torrance for this event, because when it was not very popular across the rest of the nation to support our military people, the people who are citizens of this great city and the people who ran this great city opened their arms and welcomed the military in.
It's an effort that has put Torrance on the map among the military's highest brass.
A great barometer is when we walk the halls of the Pentagon, that the folks there know the city of Torrance, and they know the parade. I think that's a great barometer to use at how not only well known we are, but how successful we've been. That we are known in those circles, and I guess it doesn't get any bigger than that.
Big in D.C., but also a big deal for the thousands who turn out each year back at home. This includes the parade's local entries, from school bands to scouts to drill teams.
The Los Angeles Police Department motorcycle drill team, back in Torrance.
There's always something different coming down the street. I think that's really the main focus for the kids that are there, and it's just so visual. You know, when you go from a tank that comes down the street to equipment that's shooting water across, you know, the crowd, and then looking up and seeing a C-17 that flies over. It doesn't get any better than that.
For the thousands of participants and parade goers, it's that unique blend of fun, pomp and circumstance, and patriotism that makes the parade an integral part of the city's fabric and legacy. Colleen Farrell with the Centennial Oral History.